Hi guys, welcome here. So today I thought that I would just do a video on my premature rupture of membranes story. Now, in January 2016, my partner and I found out that we were pregnant with our first baby, and we were over the moon. Absolutely, totally excited. And then at 6 weeks gestation, my heart sunk because I woke up with what was a full-blown period. And at that point we thought we were losing the baby. We didn't. He then continued on, and we had the same thing happen at 12 weeks gestation. And then whilst in the hospital, they were like, how was your 12-week scan? At that stage I hadn't gotten the results back, and I said, I don't know. They then said, oh well, and I was kind of naive, thinking we're young, nothing's going to come of it, it's fine. Which totally was not the case. Our results came back that he was high risk for a lot of the trisomies. So the recommendation for me was to have an amniocentesis done. Now, an amniocentesis is when they stick a needle through your stomach to take a sample of the amnio fluid, which basically I believe has cells or something in there that they can see exactly what chromosomal issues the baby might have. Now, that night after having the amniocentesis done, I was 15 weeks and my membranes ruptured. So of course I went into the emergency department. The triage nurse saw me. She was like, okay, no worries, sent me straight through. They did a quick ultrasound. You could still see a heartbeat, but no fluids around baby. So then they were like, okay, well, we're gonna get the doctor down to see you, obstetrician, and she can discuss with you in further of what's going on. And I was like, okay, cool, we're gonna find out exactly what this is, because at the time I didn't know that I had ruptured my waters. I was like, did I just pee myself? Is it an infection? What is it? Even though it was quite a gush, like movie scene gush. And basically when the obstetrician came into the room, all she could say was, I'm so sorry. There was no answer to what was going on. There was no information about what was going on. So we were sent home with not knowing what was going on and what was going to happen. In our heads we were like, okay, well, we're losing the baby, because all she could say was, I'm so sorry. And I was like, well, I'm not going to lose this baby. I've lost a baby before in the past. I'm not losing another child. So we couldn't fit in to see the doctor for another week after that happened. And when we saw the doctor, she asked me how it was going and if I've bled and whatnot, and I said no, nothing since that night. And she goes, okay, well, I'm going to put you on a antibiotic to prevent any infection from happening. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, when can we, find out what's going on? And the doctor looked at me and was like, what do you mean what's going on? I'm like, well, what happened to me last week? Like, we still don't know what happened. And she goes, oh, well, your water's ruptured. And because you're so early, you have a 1% chance of your baby surviving with no fluid around it. And I said, okay, so what's involved when the baby has no water around? And she said, well, their kidneys can't develop, their lungs don't fully develop, and their heart doesn't develop properly, so it's not a viable pregnancy. She didn't go as far to say she recommends having a medical abortion, but she was hinting at it. And I was just sitting there going, well, absolutely not. That's not the case. Like, I'm going to go and be on bed rest and this baby's going to be born. That's what's actually going to happen. Thank you. And then each week we saw the doctor twice a week, and we had an ultrasound once a week. Each time we went for a doctor's appointment and an ultrasound, things got better and better and better. His fluids built up more and more, to the point where I got to 23 weeks, and they basically said your pregnancy is now viable, so we're going to book you into the midwife system so you can start seeing the midwife and planning your birth. That didn't mean that we were not in special care anymore. We still had to go and see the doctor twice a week. It wasn't until about 30 weeks that it became once a week. And basically all I did for that time frame between the 15 weeks and the 23 weeks was drink liters and liters of water, consume more broccoli than I've ever consumed in my life. I had pretty much any health food on the market that was high in folate and known for good fetal development. And I'm pretty lucky where I live that there is a lot of that around. Also, I tried to eat only organic, so there was no pesticides or chemicals or anything on what I was eating. I cut out foods with preservatives, so things that were made for packaging or tins, I didn't consume. I was strictly stuck to what's recommended to eat during pregnancy. I didn't eat a single thing that's not recommended. And I don't know whether it was our baby boy's will to fight or my will to fight, or the bed rest or the water or the food I was consuming, but we made it all the way to 37 weeks gestation. And when he was born, he was breached, so he was born via cesarean. And because of how affected by the drugs I was the first time around, I didn't actually get to do skin to skin or have him be held close to me. So I didn't see him for about 20 minutes after birth, which for some that's a really short period of time. That's really amazing, and for others they're like, wow, that's so long to not see your newborn baby. I think it's just everyone's birth experience is different. For me, it was upsetting that I didn't get to see him straight away, and I didn't get to do that whole, you know, frog crawl straight after birth and latch on, which was sucky. And yeah, I didn't get to experience that with my second birth either, because it was a repeat Caesar, but I got skin to skin this time at least. With the fact that my waters broke at 15 weeks, I actually never had milk come in, because my milk came in then, because the hormone released to be like, you're having your baby, which was sad that I didn't get to breastfeed my first boy. His latching was fine, everything else was fine, except I just didn't have milk. Now, when he was actually born, he was perfectly healthy. He was beautiful. He weighed 2.6 kilos. Not sure what that is in pounds. He was fine for the first 2 nights, and then the 3rd night, the doctors and the midwives came rushing in after they did his the blue light test, I think it's called, because his jaundice levels were so high that they were worried that he was going to go into, I can't remember whether it's liver failure or kidney failure. So he got rushed to the NICU to get some sort of injection and the full blue light, a new cube up there, because just the blue light in the cradle in hospital wasn't going to be enough, so he had to go up there for that. And he was in there for about 3.5 days. We were in hospital for a total of 7 days, because I'm actually a bipolar mama. I'll do another video on bipolar and how it's like to be a mum with bipolar. But yeah, so he was rushed there. He spent that long. We spent 7 days in hospital. But he is now 3 years old, and while he's still incredibly tiny, he is gorgeous. He is a sweet boy. He didn't go through terrible twos. He's 3 and he's learning now that like to test the limits. He's starting the tantrum phase now. I do think that it's got a lot to do with the fact that he is no longer the center of attention, that he has to share his mum and dad. But in saying that, he's still a very easy kid. He's kind of the kid that tricks you into having another kid. Although our second kid, he's pretty easy, but he's only 3 months old. So yeah, that's a little bit about my pre-prom story. And if you are going through it yourself and you want someone to talk to, leave a comment or message. I'm happy to, you know, talk to anyone that needs advice. Not really advice, because I'm not a professional, but just needs to talk to someone who understands what you're going through. I'm always here to talk to anyone that needs someone to lean on, that can understand your feelings and understand, you know, how upsetting it is and exactly how distressing it is to be spending all those weeks just praying to get to the next week. Well, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please thumbs up, and if you like Mumma content, please subscribe. Thanks, guys.